The executive system of government is too expensive if we must be honest to ourselves.
I'm in support of having a state police and even having local government police.
Those who want to invest had better come in now, because Nigeria is going to change and change for good.
We have given in to sentiments that are tribal or religious or political.
Whoever is honest in politics will begin to run into problems. In fact, you will not get elected.
I think you must be guided by certain principles.
Me, I like my country. I like the land and people. Everything is there for Nigeria. Make we join hands to make Nigeria better.
True Nigerians, heroes of our time. Let's go there. It's that time again of True Nigerians, heroes of our time. A program where we celebrate Nigerians who have done us well, Nigerians who are role models, Nigerians who have done well in their various fields in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Today, my guest on the program is very special. Talk is cheap. I would show you this short video and I'll come back to my guest. You can see that there is no, it's not a planned work, it's not an arranged thing. You can see the sincerity in the people who were celebrating her. Her junior staffs, her senior staffs, everybody was in tears of joy for her and missing her at the same time and all that, which is why we feel that we must celebrate her also on True Nigerians, heroes of our time. My guest on the program, Barrister Goergina Ehuria-Arisa, Permanent Secretary with the Ministry of Interior, is our guest today on True Nigerians, heroes of our time. Madam, we want to thank you very much for giving us audience. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we have a traditional question, our first and traditional question. In your own opinion, how would you define a true Nigerian?
I would define a true Nigerian the way I understand it for myself. And that is a Nigerian that has a love for country. Is a person who, like Goergina, the former Prime Minister of Israel, said, who understands that it is good to have a country, but it is best to have a land you can call your own. When you have a land you can call your own, you can come into that land with a swagger and demand for things. You can call the government out. You can call the police out. You can call the institutions in that land out as of right. So that is what being a Nigerian means. It does not mean loving the country because of what the government can do for you. No. It does not mean everything working all right so that you can now say you belong to that country. No. A true Nigerian is that person who demonstrates those qualities for which the world respects Nigeria. And the whole world has said it, that the greatest resource that Nigeria has is our people. Why do they say that? Because they say that Nigerians are driven by this spirit of entrepreneurship. Nigerians run their lives without anybody helping them. You are your own local government. You build your road, you pump your water from the ground, you give yourself light. You know, and we are just so toughened that nothing can take us down. A true Nigerian who can also, in any kind of circumstance, make a living for himself. can, generate wealth even from trash. That is a true Nigerian.
How we met. We were in church on Sunday and the family worship center precisely, and the pastor was celebrating you. And we all know that Pastor Sarah Mahu is not someone who is good with praises. For her to praise you, it means you really deserve it. And that is what caught our attention. Now you have spent 36 years of your life in civil service. What would you say are the lessons learned? What would you do differently if you have to go back to civil service now?
Well, first of all, I'm grateful to God Almighty to have completed my 35 years of statutory service, and then the high privilege of my service being extended by 1 year by the president himself, without any move. I was not the one that instigated.
Without any lobbying.
Totally unknown to me. I was packing my bag and baggage to go, and I heard the announcement that I had been given 1 extra year. Of course, the totality of my service, you could see that was coming. Let me say in here that when I joined the civil service 2 months after my youth, the federal civil service, 2 months after youth service, young girl, 22 years old, and I remember how I used to walk down from race course where the bus would drop me, and I would just walk without a care in the world. What I met when I started work was not exciting at all. I just saw these people wearing suits, and their tie and funny, shirts, faded shirts, and then some of them at the top. That was where you saw people that ignited some spark. So I was looking at the people at the topmost levels, and I tried to find out what were their qualifications, what did they do to get there. So and immediately it became obvious to me that starting out with a first degree was just not going to crack anything if I was going to get to where they were. So from the one I knew that I needed to get more educated. I was always thinking about my future. As a young person, I was thinking of how to make myself relevant to meet that. I think I would say that I was competitive. I was competitive, and because I had always done well in school, so I also wanted to do well out there. I didn't want to be the one that would come first in school and then come out and get passed by. So I was always looking for, how to make sure I wasn't the one that would come last. What was I going to do to make sure that I was also going there? Because, I didn't come from a rich home. I came from, my father was working a junior staff at the University of Nigerian Soccer. So it was just very clear to me that I didn't have any leverage family-wise. And that, yes, no connection. It was this, my brain, that was going to make it happen. And I knew I had it in me. So I was always looking out for that way. And that was the path I followed. And for the past the 35 years I was in service, I did the French, and then one of my bosses was made the Director General, and he was asking people what they wanted. Some were asking for contract, some were asking for where they were posted, for them to be deployed to more lucrative places. I asked him to sponsor me to go to Togo to do 9 months so that I could speak French. The man was speechless. He said I had my head in the cloud. Do you know the kind of requests people are making? So he gave me and I went. When I was coming back, I saved money from my Easter code and I bought my first car, and I was speaking French. So, but there were people who were looking for a car. They asked him for something so that they could have money to buy a car. But I got the two from just that trip. Now I came back, and after a while, I registered and did my master's. Now I had a car so I could drive to Unilag, you know. And after that, I still told myself that I was still a civil servant. I needed a skill. I needed a profession that belonged to me. So that, the civil service has a beginning and an end. But if you're an accountant, you're an accountant for life. If you're a medical doctor, you're a medical doctor for life. If you're a lawyer, you're a lawyer for life. So I went in and did law. You know, so that was one course that really stretched me. But I did it, yes. I did it, and I concluded I did very well.
You are going to practice law from now.
Yes, so I opened the door for myself by doing that law, so that never would I be afraid for my future, so that I knew that, you know, no matter what, I had something that was personal to me. It was not dependent on this job, and that at any point in time, if I ever left this job, I had something to fall back on. So, you know, you see, that's why I'm so relaxed now. I'm relaxed because, you know, I have made that plan about, this is 2000, about 20 years ago. So, you like I said, I was virtually obsessed with my future, and I can tell you that I retired last week, but I'm so relaxed in my mind. You know, people come and tell me now that now that I'm retired, I should now look around and see what I can do. And I'm like, of course, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing now. And it's not even law practice, funny enough. But law always comes in handy. But, you know, I opened myself to the world, and I know so many things. Like I said, the average Nigerian is born an entrepreneur. And wherever you are always seeking for opportunities, things that could be, you know, that could generate businesses for you in future. So while I was working, I was looking, and I saw quite a few, which now I have the opportunity now to go and explore.
So what are you looking at since it's not law?
No, see, let me tell you, the first and foremost, I love teaching, I love mentoring. So I have had proposals, and I mean, I have been told that I'm going to lecture at the Public Service Institute. That is one of the fallouts of this book launch, because they say that they're not going to let me go, that they want me to now go into the system and teach civil servants. So I can tell you, you asked me about lessons learned. Well, those lessons are the things that I did with my life, which I did not even know I was following principles. I did not read them, but I used to grab at knowledge. Any positive knowledge that comes my way, I grab it and I apply it to my life. And eventually I saw that there were principles in books. For instance, the path to the top. You read a lot of books, they will tell you, or you could call it the path to social mobility. You could go through your family name. If you have a family that is already entrenched in this country, they can make you a way for you through that name, and you could follow it and get to the top. Or you could go through wealth. You could go through wealth. Maybe you have some people, they buy things. They can buy anything with money. In this country, they believe that people have money, you know, can make a way. And I don't have been a civil servant, and I don't have a family that has that kind of money. But there is another path that is open, and that is the path of merit. Now, the path of merit is open to those who are willing to work hard and to outperform others. You see, when I say work hard, I must add outperform others, because somebody used to give me an example with somebody that pushes truck every day is an example of somebody that works hard. But what is the end result of that hard work? It's just keeps pushing that barrel every day. You see, that is not the hard work I mean. I mean, with all due respect to people that push barrel, but if I'm pushing barrel today, if I'm engaged in that kind of work, by next month, I will buy a barrel and other people will be pushing it for me. So that is how to talk about hard work. It is something that adds incremental value to you, and you use that value to add to the task that you are given, so that there will be excellence, the mark of excellence, which will distinguish you from your peers. With time, you now become primus inter pares. When they assemble you with your peers, you bubble to the top. Then the bosses will start looking for you, because your work always excels. And you know your boss does not want stress. So he will always look for that person whose work whose work is just excellent. The quality is good to just pass. Unlike the person that gives you work and you have to go over it 3 or 4 times before it is good enough to use. So that is a very important lesson. As soon as I learned it, that there is a path to merit, and that this is how you can walk along that path, I followed it. And if you read my book, you will see how I kept adding value, incremental value on myself, and how that value now reflected in my work. So that in competitive situations, you always come out to at the top. Now, I also mentioned that people don't believe that there is any merit, that they've been compromised. No. Every competitive situation always has a merit margin, but it is narrow, thin. So it is those that outperform that will squeeze in through it. Yes. So you can place yourself there in this country, and you will always be there. And I've seen people that have told the same story. I had seen people in the past who told me that they didn't know anybody. They are from poor homes. They made it to the top. So if our country has such scenarios that are played out every day, and we have done it and it worked. So the young people should not think that everything in this country is about connection. No, you can actually make your own connection. On the day of my book launch, I pulled out the crowd in this town based on my merit. I didn't
like who and who were at the event?
Like I said, the book was reviewed by Ibuku and Woshika. how good can it get? The chairman of First Bank. You know how big that lady is.
I know.
Now, the book launcher was Saimeko Ofo. Saimeko Ofo is one of the wealthiest Nigerians. He was the one that launched the book. Now, the chairman of the occasion was the secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. It's very difficult to get Boss Mustafa to chair any event now because of his commitments to presidential task force on COVID-19. But he had to come and do it, and then dash back to go and hold the afternoon press briefing. I had the vice president, who was the special guest of honor, was represented, because that day was NEC meeting. Oh. Yes. So he was chairing the NEC meeting, but he followed what went on there. And he had the deputy chief of staff to the president was there earlier in the day, and then he was represented by Ajay Mariam Uwais. And then the Minister of Interior was the chief host of the event. He was there from the beginning to the national anthem. When chairman of the civil service of the chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission was there in Gawa, Dr. Ngawa, Tuko Ngawa. Then former heads of service, the ministers. I had I had the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. I had Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talin, Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed. Several, in fact, if I have to get the protocol list to read out for you, the people that came. So many Director General, almost all the permanent secretaries, federal permanent secretaries in the service were there. Retired heads of service, Professor Afolabi was there. And he even, then Ken Naman, Senator Ken Naman, GCON, was there. He reviewed, was one of the reviewers of the book. So I had Dr. Uche Oga, Minister of State Mines and Steel Development. I can't even mention all the people who were there or those who were represented. But, my dear, it was a very big gathering. So, and all these were people that were not brought there by my family name. They came there because I have in the place of work influenced them, affected them in some way or the other.
Do we have these books on the shelf now for sale?
No, it will come, it will get to bookshops by the end of this month. By the end of this month, because it is still on launch, and the first place it will come out at the normal price is at the Family Worship Center. That they will get it first before any other person. Yes. But right now it's still on the launch, so they have.
But how were you able to deal with the issue of corruption in the civil service? Because I know also that in the civil service, when they try to involve you and you refuse to be involved, it gets dangerous sometimes to the detriment of your life. Sometimes they transfer or remove you or something. So how were you able to cope with those issues like that?
Well, I was very happy that I told this story to present the other face of the civil service. And one of the best things that happened to me on the day of the launching of this book was some young people that approached me and told me, wow, we didn't know that there was this side of the civil service, this side to the civil service. Because the side they see are these ones you are talking about.
Exactly.
I was one of the first officers, Savicom officers, that were trained and appointed when President Obasanjo brought in Savicom. And what Savicom sought to do was to make civil servants deliver service to the public without making demands on them. Making civil servants understand that their perception, they had a very low perception because of the way they interact with the public. You might be surprised that when you mention corruption, I'm sure you're talking about the big monies being quoted on the TV when people are caught. But the way the ordinary Nigerian, corruption impacts the ordinary Nigerian is in the way the person interacts with civil servants. When you go for service and money is demanded from you before service is delivered. Certain, you have to be dropping money at tables, and
or your file will disappear.
Or your file will be there forever, or whatever thing that you went to get, you may never get it. That is how Nigerians feel corruption in the civil service on a daily basis. And that was what Sabicom sought to stamp out. So I was one of the first people that got trained and actually imbibed those principles. Till tomorrow. I mean, if I open my phone, I can show you maybe a message I got today. It is a lifestyle, and it is principles that you develop over time. And then, like I told Pastor Sarah when she asked me, it has to do with the fear of God. And
foundation.
The foundation. If your foundation, when you were building in the values that make you up as a person, you did not develop a relationship with your God, it is very difficult. You will just believe that everything is there for the taking. I can tell you that even before I joined the civil service, I had become a born again Christian. So that thing was always there. It was always there. When I joined the civil service, I now had to discover those values and ethics in the service which resonated with me, and I drove them. So I was known as a very firm person. Now they now say that I am tough. Like you said, those are the things that happen to you when you now decide to be a principled person in the service. You will get a nickname. She's tough. She's a hard woman. But I think one of the things that went very well for me was that people discovered that it just had to do with my principles.
Then, your legs are not popping.
It's a popping. Oh my goodness! I think you have to look for another task for me.